Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Daily Dose. Yesterday I talked to you about how we're going to begin this week by going through discipline, awareness, and gratitude. And just to kind of recap, where these three ideas come from is that, over the course of reading, probably hundreds of books, listening to hundreds of audiobooks, listening to authors and speakers, traveling to conventions and going to trainings and listening to individuals like this, all of the material that you hear and the things that you hear, there's so much of it. And sometimes it becomes, very convoluted. There's systems, with 18 steps and all these different things. And sometimes it becomes a little overwhelming to try to figure out what in the world do I need to do to create some acceleration in my life? What do I need to do to create some abundance in my life? What can I do in simple, small, bite-sized increments to begin to improve things for myself and for my family and our finances and relationships and everywhere else? And so as I listen to all these ideas and I listen to all of these folks as they go through their stuff, one of the things that I always wanted to do, sorry for the mess, it's tax time, right? One of the things that I always wanted to do was to find a way to boil all that stuff down to something very simple. And so after years of study, I boiled it down to three areas or three things that I could focus on that would really make a tremendous difference in my life. And I boiled it down to discipline, awareness, and gratitude. So we're going to talk about discipline tonight. We'll talk about awareness tomorrow. We'll talk about gratitude the next day. But we'll just start with discipline. Now, discipline, it's interesting because discipline is one of the things that was drilled into us at Officer Candidate School when I was going through OCS to become an officer in the Navy, to go on to fly jets, to fly F-18s for the United States Navy. In fact, we used to stand on the veranda, which was like the little porch area of the chow hall there, and before every meal, while we were taking off our covers and straightening our outfits and putting our covers away and all that, we used to chant this thing where we'd say, discipline, D-I-S-C-I-P-L-I-N-E, discipline is the did it. And we had this definition that we would shout out and all this, and looking back on it now, it's kind of comical. I can't remember, by the way, what the Navy says discipline is. I just know what I think it is now. But, they drilled discipline into these candidates for a reason. And you wonder, why do they make such a big deal out of discipline? In fact, on our crest, on our crest for Officer Candidate School, when we graduated, we had these things made up, and we had a crest on there. And no kidding, it said discipline right at the top in big letters. And the drill instructors, the Marine Corps drill instructors, did big time on discipline. So what was the big deal about discipline? Here's why. Discipline, in my opinion, in my definition, based on all the learning and the reading and everything, here's what I've come to. Discipline is doing what you know you should do even when you don't feel like it. That's discipline. Discipline is forcing yourself to do the things that are not comfortable, that are not fun, that are not easy, so that you can have the things later that are comfortable, fun, and easy. Because, it's a paradox, and Rory Vaden talks about this in his book, Take the Stairs. It's called the Paradox Principle of Return, right? That the things that are easy and convenient and simple to do now create hard and difficult times down the road. The things that are hard and difficult to do now create easy and fun and simple lives down the road. In other words, the long-term payoff, right? The long-term payoff. So just take, for example, your health, right? It's easy to eat the cheesecake. It's easy to smoke the cigarettes. It's easy to do the drinking. It's easy to do all that stuff. It's easy not to exercise. It's easy to sit on the couch. And those things you do now can create all kinds of health problems and things down the road for you later. And guess what? When you're 50 or 55 or 60 or 65, right, your life is going to be considerably harder if your health has gone down the tubes. And you may still have to have that eating and drinking and consuming discipline later, but you're going to have it later for a whole different reason. Because if you don't, you may die. And you're going to have the weakness and the pain and the sickness and all the other things that go along with it. However, if you have the discipline today to moderate your intake of fats and sugars and, smoking and drinking and all of those things, well, then down the road, when you're 50, 60, 70 years old, well, then, you've developed those habits and it becomes almost effortless in order for you to continue to maintain your health. And so that's just one example. Another example might be, your finances. It's difficult to take 20 or 30% of your income and put it away, put it into an IRA, put it into a savings account, do those kinds of things. But if you might be thinking, well, I don't make that much money, Brian. I'm young. Maybe you're in your 20s, you just got married, whatever the case. You're like, I don't make any money. We're barely making our bills. The reality is, you don't have to put that away. But if you don't, here's what happens. When you're, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, approaching retirement, and you've got nothing in the bank, all of a sudden your life is a whole lot harder than the guy or the gal who put 20 or 30% of their income away from the time they were 18 years old, and when they're 45, they're fully retired and living in a paid-for house with a couple of paid-for cars and drawing $1,200-1,500 a month out of their retirement accounts and living very comfortably and enjoying their lives. And you wonder, like, how do people get there? They get there because they're willing to do in the short term what is difficult so they can have in the long term what is comfortable and fun, as opposed to doing in the short term what is comfortable and fun so that they live in the long term being much more difficult and much more challenging. And so it's that paradox principle of, what's easy to do now creates pain for you later. What's painful maybe to do now creates an easier time, a much easier time for you down the road. Jim Rohn actually said it really, really well. He said, on your deathbed, you're going to bear one of two crosses. In other words, you're going to pay the price for one of two things on your deathbed. You're going to carry the weight of either discipline or you're going to carry the weight of regret. And if the price of discipline, if the weight of discipline weighs ounces, the weight of regret weighs tons. So all of this is to say that discipline means doing what you know you should do. And there's no mystery. We know when we sit down to eat a bacon sundae, we probably ought not do it, right? We know when we haven't gone to the gym in years, some of us, right? Or maybe just a week or two. You should be getting in the gym. You should be exercising. When you let your anger flare up and you say ugly things to your spouse, or to your children, or to your friends, or to your colleagues, or the people that you care about, you shouldn't behave that way. We know these things inherently. Don't we know these things? And yes, we're all going to fall short. We're all going to make mistakes. And sometimes we're all just going to say, to heck with it. I want the bacon sundae and I'm eating that sucker, right? Sometimes that's going to happen. And I'm perfectly okay with that, right? Those that know me know I'm everything in moderation, right? However, discipline means that at least most of the time, doing what you know you should do as opposed to what's comfortable and easy. I love what Rory Vaden says. Rory Vaden says, take the stairs. It's easier to jump on the escalator. But taking the stairs reaps you the long-term benefits you don't get from taking the escalator. And that should be true in your relationships, should be true in your faith, should be true in your business, should be true in your finances, should be true in your family, with your spouse. Do the things you know you should do even when you don't feel like it, because the reality is that successful people do every day what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. That's why they're successful. The shocking truth to most people is that successful people don't want to do them any more than we do. Right? Successful people don't want to, get up at 5 in the morning and go work out any more than the person who just doesn't do it. The difference is that the successful person does it anyway, even when they don't feel like it. The gold medal Olympic runner doesn't want to run that much. He doesn't want to get up that early, and he doesn't want to eat food with no salt in it, but he does it anyway. And that's why he'll be a gold medalist when others may not. And that is true in finances, it's true in business, it's true in relationships. So take the high road, take the difficult path now, do what you know you should do instead of what feels good, and you'll begin to create magic in your life. That's discipline. That's part one. Tomorrow we'll talk about awareness, then we'll go into gratitude. And I'm telling you, all day long in my head I have this running dialogue. How am I applying the principles of discipline, awareness, and gratitude here? And when you begin to do that and you begin to become conscious of it, it will change the way that you approach the world. It'll change your perspective, it'll change your actions, and it'll ultimately change your results. And that's really what we're all looking for. So go out there today, take today by the horns, and make today your best day.